Guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Miguel and this is SoCal Watch Reviews. Today we're checking out a watch out of France. This is the second watch I reviewed from this brand. I'm super excited. It's actually really nice. So stick around. Can you really capture the magic of a vintage Heuer Carrera without spending thousands of dollars? I know that's a pretty dangerous question to ask. Vintage Heuer Carrera has become some of the most desirable watches in the collecting world, whether it's the legendary reference 1153N, the colorful Skipper, or the beautiful 153N. Prices have climbed to the point where owning one isn't realistic for most enthusiasts. In fact, I came incredibly close to buying the new Tag Heuer Carrera Skipper myself, but then I found this. This is the Depancel Auto Sports Blue Silver Limited Edition. Only 200 of these will ever be made, although if you miss out, Depancel does offer other regular production models for the same cost, $750. After spending some time with this watch, I honestly think it scratches that vintage motorsport itch even better than most anything else in this price category. Let's find out why. Before we talk about the watch itself, let's spend a minute talking about Depancel. If you've watched my previous review of the Series R, you already know that Depancel is a French company whose entire identity revolves around automotive culture. Their name itself comes from 3 legendary French manufacturers, and nearly every watch they produce pays tribute to classic racing. This isn't a company chasing whatever trend happens to be popular this year. They're passionate about vintage motorsport, and honestly, the passion shows. Now, let's jump into the specs of this watch. The case is made from 316L stainless steel and measures 39mm in diameter. Lug to lug comes in at 46mm. Thickness is only 12.6mm, including the beautiful dome sapphire crystal, or just 11.2mm without the crystal. Lug width is my favorite, 20mm, and on my 6 7/8 inch wrist, this thing fits beautifully. Honestly, these proportions are nearly perfect. It's amazing how much difference a few millimeters make compared to the Series R. This means smaller, more balanced, and much more versatile. The finishing deserves a lot of praise. Just like the previous Depancel I reviewed, the company mixes brush and polished surfaces extremely well. The polished bezel catches the light beautifully, while the circular brushing across the lugs gives the watch a sporty appearance. The sides receive horizontal brushing with polished upper chamfers that really elevate the overall quality. And then there's one of my favorite details, the small plaque mounted on the side of the case. It's subtle, it's unique, and immediately gives the watch its own personality. Little touches like that separate good watches from memorable ones. Now let's talk about why I wanted to review this watch in the first place. The dial. Wow. Pictures honestly don't do it justice. Depancel says the dial was inspired by the racetracks of the 1960s, 1970s, the era of James Hunt, Jackie Stewart, and Niki Lauda. Looking at it, you can absolutely see these influences. The silver track frames the dial beautifully. The brush sections create different textures depending on how the light hits them. The azure sub-dials add depth, and those pops of orange. They just make me smile every time I look at this watch. It's sporty, it's elegant, and somehow manages to feel vintage without looking dated. The watch displays the date, and the month. Everything's extremely easy to read. Setting everything is also pretty straightforward. The crown controls the time, date, while the recess pusher at the 2 o'clock advances the month display. Once you've done it once, it's incredibly simple. Protecting that beautiful dial is a double dome sapphire crystal. The crystal adds wonderful distortions around the edges and gives the dial a surprising amount of depth. It's also pretty clear. There are moments where it almost disappears completely, allowing you to fully appreciate all of the textures underneath. The sign push and pull crown is another detail I appreciate. Operation is smooth, and I love the orange accents that are incorporated into the crown. Again, it's another subtle reminder that Depancel pays attention to details. Inside beats the Miyota 9122 automatic movement. If you watch this channel for a while, you already know I'm a fan of Miyota 9000 series. The 9122 runs at 28,800 vibrations per hour, features 26 joules, offers approximately 40 hours of power reserve, and includes hacking and winding. More importantly, it's proven itself to be extremely reliable. This movement powers the day, date, and month complications while remaining relatively slim which helps keep the watch's profile nice and wearable. For the price, I think it was an excellent choice. Turning the watch over, you're greeted by a sapphire display caseback that lets you admire the movement. The decorated rotor features a radiator grille pattern along with the Pensel's shield and subtle French tricolor details. It's another reminder that this company builds a complete theme instead of simply assembling parts. The leather rally strap also deserves some recognition. It's incredibly comfortable right out of the box. Soft, supple, and much higher quality than I expected. The French tricolor stitching is another tasteful nod to the company's heritage, while the sign buckle completes the packaging nicely. It's one of those straps that I wouldn't immediately replace. Lume is all radium Superluminova. Visually, I love the vintage color. Performance-wise, I wish there was simply more of it. It isn't terrible, but compared to some of the brighter watches I reviewed recently, it leaves me wanting more. The same goes for the water resistance. At 50 meters, it's perfectly adequate for everyday life, but personally, I would have loved to see 100 meters. That would make this an even more compelling everyday watch. Even the presentation feels premium. Instead of arriving in a generic cardboard box, the Autosport comes with a beautiful leather travel case. The Pensel also continues to use orange throughout the packaging, creating a consistent experience from the moment you open the box. Again, it's those little details. One thing I've also experienced firsthand is the Pensel's customer service. Communication with the team has been outstanding. They're responsive, professional, and genuinely passionate about their watches. That's something I always appreciate because buying a watch isn't about the product, it's also about the people behind it. So let's go back to the question we started with. Can you own the feeling of a vintage Heuer Carrera for a fraction of the price? No. Nothing replaces owning an original Heuer, but you can capture that same vintage racing spirit, that same emotional connection, that same feeling every time you glance at your wrist. The Pensel has created something that doesn't pretend to be a Heuer. Instead, it respectfully celebrates that incredible era of motorsport while adding its own French identity. At $750, you're getting outstanding finishing, a beautifully proportioned 39mm case, a reliable Miyota 9000 series movement, a gorgeous texture dial, sapphire crystal, quality leather strap, and one of the strongest automotive-inspired designs I've seen under $1,000. After reviewing my second Pensel, I can honestly say I think this brand is one of the most underrated micro brands out there. And if more collectors gave them a chance, I think a lot more people would be talking about them. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Would you still save up for the vintage Heuer Carrera, or would you happily wear the Pensel Autosport? Guys, I hope you enjoyed that review, and if you did, please don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and there's also a little hype button, so don't forget to hype. Be safe out there and stay humble.